Welcome back, everybody. Got another episode of the Husky Logic Show for you. Today, we are going to go over the policies part of the Gorello RMM solution. So, to get there from the dashboard, you're going to click on this little puzzle piece icon over here. And if you notice the little flag that comes out, it says policies. So, we're going to click on that, and it takes us to the policies section. And when you first get your Gorello accounts, if you don't make any others, you're going to see the base workstation and the base server policies. Now, these two are basically just what they mean. They're the policy that is set up to run depending on the tag that you give to the assets that you're managing. If it's a server, the tag will be Windows Server and it will follow this policy. If it's a laptop or a desktop or just a workstation per se, the tag is going to say Windows Workstation and it's going to follow this policy. So these two policies are pretty much set up bare bones, but you can edit them. So to edit them, all you have to do is double click on the policy, or actually, sorry, just single click on the policy. And you'll see everything that's in it. Policies are basically the engine behind the automation of Gorello. So they are the ones that push out the checks, the plugins, and the scripts that you want to run on any of the assets. And the way you associate the policy with a particular asset is by giving the asset a tag. Gorello does a really good job of deciding whether it's a workstation or a server. You'll notice that in the assets section. You'll notice that it says you can split it up and see only the workstations, only the servers, but that's for another video. If you want to create a different policy or you want to give something a different tag, then you're going to have to change the tags that are associated with the policy. And you do that by clicking these three dots and you say edit. And then down here, you can type in the name of the tag. And every time you type in a tag, you have to hit enter afterwards in order for it to be this pill-shaped box with the X. And if you want to get rid of a tag associated with this policy, you just click the X next to the tag name. And then when you're done, you just hit update. And then it updates over here with the new tags or the tags that you've taken off. So let's look at the policies. So the base workstation policy is set up to continuously check the usage of the drive. It looks to see if a percentage of the drive is free, and if it gets under that threshold, then it sends an alert. You'll see it in the notifications, and you can create a ticket to do something about it. And if you want to see what this does or edit it in any way, you just click on this little edit button, and it shows you. The name of it is disk usage, and it's set to do percentage free. So if it's less than 5% free, it'll send you a message. And it's continuously running, so it's always checking. And then you have the threshold down here that you can exclude. You can tell it to check all the drives, or you can tell it to check a particular drive, specific drive letter, or you can say exclude a particular drive letter. So let's say you have two drives in your computer, and drive C is where the operating system lies, and it's maybe 256 gigs, and drive D is the one you want to monitor, and that's a terabyte. You can actually go in here and say exclude drive C, and then it won't tell you anymore, because drive C will fill up really fast, even if it's just the operating system, if it's that small. And then over here, you can set it up for what kind of alert you're going to get, whether it's a warning, a critical, an error, that will determine where it falls in the alert list. But it's in any event, it's going to notify you, and you have the ability to create a ticket to take care of it. So if you made any changes, you're going to hit save. I didn't make any changes, so we just hit close. And that is the checks. Now, the plugins, these are different things. You can, this particular one is patch management. So it's watching for any Windows updates that need to be done. So when you open it up, it tells you that it's automatically, it will install and restart at maintenance time. So if you don't turn maintenance time on, it won't restart. And it just basically tells you the threshold of how long the update has to be, how old the update has to be before it runs, and then all these different things that you can go through and switch on and off, edit, whatever, however you want to do it. And then, like I said, if you edit anything, you hit save. Otherwise, just hit close. Now, the Gorello Connect plugin, that is set up to put Gorello Connect onto every computer that has that is an asset, because that's the program that you use to actually take control of the screen. So you have to be able to see it. It has to be there in order for you to do that. So I wouldn't worry about that. I'd leave it alone. And then the scripts down here, you don't really have scripts in a brand new instance. These are some scripts that I put in here. These are scripts that I have in my script manager. So I was able to put them in, and I can basically tell it how I want it to work. Now, if you want to add something, you just go up here to the add button. Don't click on it, because clicking on it's going to basically turn it off. All you have to do is hover over the button, and then you have the drop down menu. If I want to add a check, I click on the check, and these are all the different checks that I can add. If, let's say, I want to look at the CPU, I can give it a name, CPU usage, and I can say I want it to do, if it's 90% used for 10 minutes, I could do a remediation, which is basically running a script if I have a script to take care of this. Or I can just send an alert with a warning. And so let's say I want to send an alert with a warning. So this is all filled out. I want to add this. So I just click on the save button. And then it adds it right here. Now, it adds in groups. So all the checks are at the top, the plugins are next, and then the scripts are at the bottom. So it depends on what you add as to where it's going to show up. And then let's say I want to add a plugin. So I go over here to plugins, and it shows me a list. I can add app management, which is basically the Gorello system looking to see if there's any updates to software. I can add the Huntress tool, which will allow me to automatically install Huntress on every computer or on whatever computers I've set that up for. And then the Tray app is basically just, it puts an icon on the taskbar over by the time on your client computers so that they can communicate with you. So let's say I want to add the app management. So then it added the app management here to the plugins list, and I want to see what it does. So I click on the little pencil, and it says here at 6 a.m. the out-of-date threshold is 0. So it doesn't have to be out of date. As long as there's an update, you want it to run. And it looks like it says right here, the update has to be 30 days old in order for it to run. and you're going to run this immediately on any new devices that you put on the system. That's if you check this box, and run immediately if the previous schedule was missed. You always really want to check this box, because if at 6 a.m. maybe one of the computers was off, when it comes back online, it's going to look at this particular plugin and say, oh, I didn't run at 6 o'clock, so it runs it then. And then what you do, it doesn't check for every app. You will then put an app in here. So if we click on this button right here, this is the app catalog that is already in Gorello. So if I click in this one, let's say I click all of these, Google Drive. No, I don't want Google Drive. 7-Zip. Okay, and so all of these ones that have check marks, if I click on the add button, now it puts them all in there. So what it's going to do is it's going to search for these products or these programs on the client computer, and it's going to look and see if there's any updates. And it says right here already, it's install and updates. So the first time it runs, if it's not there, it's going to install it. But if you click on this drop down menu, you can actually do update only or uninstall. So you can actually tell it on every computer you want to uninstall Google Chrome. And then if you look over here on the side, it says Google Chrome uninstall. So if I run this on a computer, it's going to uninstall Google Chrome on every device that it finds it on. So then if you have an app that you're looking for that isn't already in the catalog, you can actually type it in here. Like let's 7-Zip. That is a product. Well, it's called 7-Zip. It's here, but that's the Winget code for the product 7-Zip. So if it wasn't already there, we can just type that code in and hit add, and it will add it to the bottom of the list. But you need to know the actual Winget code, and you need to type it correctly, like this one here, video lan.vlc. If that was all lowercase letters, it would never run because it's not typed correctly. So you got to make sure that you type it correctly if you're entering it manually. So once we do this, we hit save. And now I've added app management. And if you notice over here, it says awaiting distribution. That means that I've added it to this policy, but none of the computers see it yet. It's because I haven't sent it out to them. So until I go over here and hit distribute, none of these new policies are actually going to run on the devices. And then lastly, if you want to add a script, you can just do the same thing. Hover over add, click on script, and it's going to list every script that you have in your script library. And let's say you want to install ISL online on every device. So you just click on that. And then this is where you get a little bit more control. So we can do it once, and it will try to install it once. We can do it continuously if it's something that if it's a script that you really want to use as a monitor. That's when you would do continuously. You can do on schedule, and what that will do is that will allow you to pick either every day, weekly, and you can pick whichever days of the week you want. You can pick the time. You can also pick monthly, and you can pick the date every month, or you can pick something like the last Friday of the month or the fourth Friday of the month. That way, if there's 5 Fridays, it always does it on the 4th. And then again, you can set run immediately on new assets and run immediately if it was missed. I always recommend you put this one in there, because if you run immediately when it's missed. That way, if you say, like right now, it says 12 a.m. on the first of every month. That's how it's set up. If I go to weekly, I can say 12 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The green ones are the when it's going to run. The gray ones are you've turned them off. So in this case, it's going to run at 12 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if the computer isn't on at 12 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, if you have this checked, it will just run the next time the computer connects to the Gorello server. Now, you could also run it at login, which will run every time the computer turns on and Gorello connects. Or you can run it at startup, which the minute the Gorello file starts on that particular computer, it will automatically run this script. So depending on how you want to do it, I typically do a run once if I am doing the installation of a software. And if I'm not sure if everything's going to be online or if everything's going to be on at that run once time, I might say run weekly at such and such a time on Tuesday, let's say. And then I'll say run immediately if the schedule was missed. That way it has Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday to run before it tries to run on everybody again. And then you just keep a close eye on it if you do it this way, so that way you can cancel this or turn this completely off after it's been installed on everybody's machines. This is if you want to run all these things on every machine associated with that tag. If you want to just want to run something on one machine, there's a different way to do that. You don't need policies. So, okay, so I am done changing the policies. And just before I do anything else, let me just show you these other policies that are here, like this one right here, this script PS Windows Update. If I click on, I can show you what this means. If I click on the pencil over here, it's set to run on a schedule. It runs daily at 12 a.m. It immediately runs on any new assets that I add to the list, and it immediately runs when the schedule was missed. So if a computer doesn't come on till 9 o'clock in the morning and it was off at 12 a.m., it'll run at 9 o'clock in the morning when it comes on. So these dots, it says right here 12 a.m., and these dots represent the 7 days. So whatever dots are blue here, it will run. And then you see up here, some of these dots are gray. So those aren't going to run, or this script isn't going to run on those days. But this script, and this script are going to run every day at this one and this one at 12 a.m. and this one at 12 p.m. And those are just some scripts that I have in my system that I have added to this policy. So now I've added two more things, and you notice it still says waiting distribution. I have to go over here and hit distribute, and then it's going to ask me what I'm distributing, and I just click the button again. And now it sends a signal to all of the assets and says, okay, these things were either added or changed. Make note of it and run these things as well. Once the new asset gets this information, which if they're online will take about 30 seconds. If they're not online, they'll get it when they turn their computer on. Then all these new things that I have put into this policy will run at the appropriate times. And that is basically an overview of the policies section of Gorello. If you have any questions or you want to know more, leave a comment, shoot me a message. I'd be more than happy to answer them. And also be sure to check out the Gorello look at the Gorilla website because there is a link to their Discord channel. In that channel is a whole host of wonderful people that use Gorilla, and they'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Until next time, stay safe and have a good one.